Let's talk about Dusty Rhodes. It's in the newsletters here at the end of December 1990 that Dusty Rhodes is coming back to WCW. Meltzer would write, although no official announcement has been made, it's virtually certain that Dusty Rhodes will be the new booker of WCW. Rhodes' final house show with Titan was December 30th, although he's scheduled for one last night of humiliation at the Royal Rumble on January 19th. There's some within WCW who believe Rhodes will actually come on board to book before the Rumble, provided WCW can get a release from Titan Sports on Rhodes. If that doesn't happen, he will very surely start as a booker soon after January 20th. There's a lot to unpack here. Meltzer was very, very critical of Rhodes, his entire career. He even says it still somewhat amazes me that Rhodes would be brought back. But there are a few points that need to be made. There's nobody else out there with experience in booking a U.S. promotion besides Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson that TBS hasn't already gone through. Rhodes does have that experience. And while Rhodes booking was a major factor in the plunge of Crockett Promotions in 87 and 88, the fact is Bill Watts isn't going to come in as long as the current organizational structure is in place. And there's no guarantee he would be a miracle worker. Rhodes does have something to prove, and just as importantly, it seems pretty much certain that his days in the ring are about to be over. To maintain both his lifestyle and his status within the industry, he has to succeed here. So he's essentially laying out that this could be the end of the line for Dusty Rhodes. He needs to make it work. He's going to be motivated to make it work, and maybe some of the problems he's had in the past won't be an issue here, perhaps ego wise. But we know that Dusty Rhodes, is, one of the more innovative creators in the history of wrestling. And when he's coming back, he's an old pal of yours. I am curious, what was your relationship like here? Were you looking forward to him coming back, or did you chalk this up to just rumor and innuendo and didn't think he would return?
No, I kind of had a feeling he'd be back because, the devil you know versus the devil you don't know type deal, or whatever that cliche is. Dusty had been there, they'd done that, people were comfortable with him. I just felt like we did him a disservice by even thinking that you could wrestle again.
Right.
That would, if I was doing that piece of business, hiring a new booker, the booker ain't going to wrestle.
Right.
Under no circumstance. You got to fish or cut bait. Which one do you want to be, fish or fowl? You can't be both. You will not be both. It's not an option. And of course, then some bookers, believe that they can resurrect a territory, or they can, make things right because they're brilliant. And Dusty was only focusing on the big picture and not himself creatively at times. Things would have been a lot better. But the ship was, it's like bringing a new booker with that management structure we had there at WCW was like moving around the deck chairs on the Titanic. Don't make a shit. You're going down, and things are not going to be good. And that happened. So I had the same reason Meltzer said, there's not that many people that could do it, but that's where product knowledge comes back into play.
Right.
If you are a student of the game and you are, enjoined with the product, learning about the product, and you went back and did some history work. Eddie Graham took a chance on a young booker named Bill Watts. Those examples. Memphis, Lawler would book half a year, and Jerry Jarrett would book half a year. They get different ideas, and things have changed philosophically and so forth. So looking back at the system of hiring a booker was not done. So consequently, I think that the upper management again made another mistake. Dusty could have been like the executive producer or something, but on the day-to-day basis of creativity, I think we needed fresh eyes.
Right.
More contemporary point of view, and let Dusty be kind of like the GM of the team. And the head coach, it'd be the booker. But nobody had the vision to do that. That's what I think that would have been a great help. That way you could use Dusty for all his high line items, his big picture items, which he was very good at, and not being organized on a day-to-day basis. People don't realize, going back in time, being organized on a day-to-day basis was not Dusty's strength. If he had not had J.J. Dillon on his joined at the hip, it would have been, at times, I believe, chaotic.
Yeah, let's give some examples of that. JJ wrote in his book that Dusty was brilliant when it came to big picture stuff, and he knew how to make things a spectacle and et cetera, et cetera. But when it came down to the fine lining of details, he would at times be a little unorganized, and that's where JJ helped fill the gaps. One example he mentions in his book is he would book house shows, and there'd be an A town and a B town. So A would be, Flair and Rhodes on top. B would be the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnights on top. Either way, you're getting some great wrestling and a great main event. Sometimes the undercard, he'd have the same guy on both cards. And obviously that's a physical impossibility. A guy can't be in two towns or two states at the same time.
Double booking.
Yeah.
Well, it's attention to detail. Attention to detail was not Dusty's forte. What JJ wrote, accurately, by the way, is what it was. He had a great vision for big picture things, creating extravaganzas, et cetera, et cetera. So, but that's what he should have been put in. See, the decision makers at WCW didn't have enough product knowledge to understand Dusty's strengths and Dusty's weaknesses. They looked at it as a generic deal. And you find that a lot of guys who want to be close to wrestling, but don't want to be associated with it or are connected to it directly because of their large ego. They might not look good in their blue blazer and their white shirt and their red tie at a corporate board meeting. They can't be a wrestling fan. So I'm not going to engage in learning about it. The only guy at WCW, I think, that tried to learn about it that I can recall, there probably are others, was Jeff Carr. He was a big fan, smart guy, and was somebody that tried to gain product knowledge. And I don't know how much he gained, but he was a decent guy to work with. But sometimes you get those guys on that level, Conrad, they believe the business is so simplistic and so easy to figure out and understand that they don't peel the onion back. It's just on the surface, good guy versus bad guy. And that's far from the fact.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.